Our first finalist for the Wright Prize, senior Eric Moss, has focused his speech on nature. Eric will remain on the stage after his speech for the judges' questions.
And I poop. Now, I know what you must be thinking. It's college. This kid is either drunk or just exceptionally proud of his bowel movements. Well, seeing as though this competition is taking place on a Saturday at 1 p.m., I'm probably not intoxicated. Besides, would it help if I told you I was in AA? Maybe not. Unless you're a member of the Hamilton community. In that case, you may know that AA stands for Adirondack Adventure, the school's outdoor orientation program and a rather unconventional way to kick off one's higher education experience. This year, AA coordinated around 60 trips, including the popular hiking options, as well as an array of rock climbing, kayaking, canoeing, and combo trips, all of which take place in the nearby Adirondack State Park. It's also where we lead icebreakers, beginning with the line I use to introduce myself. It's our way as AA leaders to overcome the fear factor of being out in the wilderness for multiple days where there is no magical bathroom waiting. But enough about bowel movements. If you haven't yet gathered, that isn't what this is about. A study sponsored by the Environmental Protection Agency found that the average American spends 93% of their time indoors and more than 7 hours each day in front of screens. Research has shown that too much screen time and not enough time in nature can contribute to depression and anxiety. And depression and anxiety among college students are at a historic high. A study by the National Education Association found that 44% of students reported symptoms of depression, while 37% felt anxiety. The good news is that time spent in green space has been linked to lower risks of depression. And Hamilton, with its not one, but two glens, and its close proximity to the Adirondack State Park, offer plenty of green space and opportunities for what the Japanese coined Shindin-yoku, or forest bathing. No prior experience is required. I certainly didn't have any. Growing up, I played recess on blacktop. I went to high school in New York City. I made one of my closest friends to this day in AA training because one day, as we were sitting out on the Glen House lawn, somebody casually mentioned that a snake had slithered by. My friend, with a piercing expression of concern, leaned over and whispered, "What, like a real-life snake?" As if it were some mythical creature found only in the depths of a David Attenborough documentary. It's people who have no experience with the outdoors, people like me, who gain the most from these experiences. Just last year, I led this amazing hike for 46 Peaks weekend with another friend. In fact, it was so great that on the way up, it just never seemed to end. It wasn't until we came across a couple of curious Canadians who glanced at our map that we figured out we were somehow hiking up the completely wrong mountain. See, in high school, I considered myself a navigational expert. I followed an intricately crafted subway routine with train lines and their affixed numbers. In college, in the mountains, I was a little confused when I looked down at our map and it told us to turn right at the cairn. For those who don't know, a cairn is a pile of rocks. Kind of sounds like a mountain, right? And that one. And you get the idea. But why do we do it? 46 Peaks weekend typically requires a 3 a.m. morning alarm and a minimum of 4,000 feet of uneasy elevation. That is, unless you're climbing Cuxacagra, which stands at a mere 3,820 feet. It also gets its name from the Algonquin for dismal wilderness. So I guess even a mountain can have an inferiority complex. But you don't have to head for the hills to reap the benefits of nature. Perhaps growing up, you had a parent who told you, go outside and get some fresh air. It'll be good for you. Well, if you're looking for a second opinion, who better than the father of medicine, Hippocrates, who maintained walking is man's best medicine. Hippocrates also treated patients with fever by starving them. So maybe we should consult some more experts. According to University of Chicago psychologists Dr. Mark Berman and Dr. Catherine Schertz, green spaces near schools promotes cognitive development in children, and green views near children's homes promote self-controlled behavior. But the benefits of the outdoors are not just integral to our development. They further note that adults assigned to public housing units in areas with more access to green space showed better attentional functioning than those assigned to units with less access to natural environments. That same study also points out that just a few moments of green can perk up a tired brain. Let me just translate for my college peers. We're still talking about nature. According to Mental Health America, one of the best benefits you get from nature is connection, which is linked to better connection to self, community, and purpose. You never see that old sage in a cartoon anywhere but surrounded by tranquil nature. Maybe that's why on Amazon right now for just $18, you can get a t-shirt that says, "The closer you get to nature, the further you are from idiots." Now, not everyone has the access to nature that Hamilton students do. We are surrounded by it. And as award-winning indie author Barry Finley once said, every mountaintop is within reach if you keep climbing. Wow, right? I think you'd get along well with Stephen Wright, who elicits a similarly profound realization with his words. Anywhere is within walking distance, if you have the time. Thank you, gentlemen, for the deep wisdom. Nature, for some, clearly takes a miracle. For others, nature is the miracle. It was once proclaimed the best remedy for those who are afraid, lonely, or unhappy is to go outside, somewhere where they can be quite alone with the heavens, nature, and God. Because only then will one feel as though all is as it should be. Those words were uncovered in 1945 in the diary left behind by a 16-year-old girl. And Frank, that's real wisdom. The outdoors are accessible to all of us. If not a high peak, how about a glen walk? If not a glen walk, how about a picnic on Minor Field? Nature will meet us where we are, no matter if we're scaling up or down. That friend who hiked up the wrong mountain with me is now abroad in Panama, where he ventures into mountainous terrain whenever he can. I haven't heard from him in a while. I think he's fine. Hamilton has just over 2,000 students now, and just over 1,350 acres. More than enough room for us to enjoy the outdoors right here. And while hiking is free, if you are going to climb a high peak, you're going to need a sturdy pair of boots, thick wool socks, and a well-marked map, all of which you can borrow at the nearby Glen House. Well, maybe don't count on a well-marked map. But you don't have to hike a high peak to get that natural high. As psychologist Dr. Lisa Nisbet found, you can boost your mood walking in nature, even in urban nature. The evidence is so overwhelming that the United Nations has taken note with the goal by 2030 to provide universal access to safe, inclusive, and accessible green and public spaces, in particular to women and children, to older persons, and to persons with disabilities. The outdoors are just that, and the benefits are worthwhile. All it takes is an open mind and, on occasion, a really loud alarm. In the meantime, remember what a cairn is. Thank you. Now I'm here for questions. Yes. Well, I think in a way it's already there. If you take our orientation program, whether it's Adirondack Adventure in particular, which is clearly the extreme, I went on a trip that's actually being discontinued because the conditions were so harsh, or XA, which is more of an expedition adventure as they call it. Even OA, the service-oriented one, is all an outdoor adventure in their own right. And so I think if you look right from the outset, Hamilton has it. Hamilton is an exemplar among colleges, and I hope others take note. Yes? Yeah, it's brutal. Honestly, right now, I went snowshoeing last weekend. Winter is perfect. People really need to take advantage of the winter season. At Hamilton in particular, we've got a lot of snow, and snowshoeing, cross-country skiing, all the opportunities are there. When it does come to be springtime, get ready to that allergy pill and tough it out, but I'm there with you. And I think we can still enjoy it just the same. Well, thank you very much, everybody.